Well, hello. How are you doing? By the way, I get absolutely no kickbacks off of the sale of this book. I have a link below, but it's not any kind of affiliate link or anything like that. Okay? Actually, I want to cover a few things in this video, and importantly, a lot of people have asked me this, and I've not made a video about it. I've told people there's a secret, and it's really simple, but unless you know what to lock into, people won't see it. Some people will read a whole book, and then at the end of the book, they'll go, that book wasn't any good. Life is short. Time is valuable. I work 7 days a week, and I try to keep things pithy. And I said, and it sounds impossible to some people, it's like, well, what's the secret to, determining in 30 seconds? Usually it takes me 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes just a minute or slightly a hair over a minute, and that's all it does. Like, is this book any good or not? I'll go to the university library, and I've been there quite a few years because I have all the good books. And, I could go through, well, usually I'll do like 150 books at a time, and that's, I don't know, 2.5 hours. And I'll take home like 1 or 2 or 3 books. The rest of them are trash. Other people like check out a book. I'm like, well, this is the topic I'm interested in, and they'll read the whole book, and book's no good. Well, I can do it in 30 seconds or a minute. I'm actually going to talk about that in this video. This is the dust jacket. I actually have 2 copies of this book. I've got this one earmarked in a few places over here. This is Giordano Bruno in the Hermetic tradition, and I have the link below for it. Did I mention it's printed on Italian-made glossy paper? I love this glossy paper a lot. Yeah, I'm a big book nerd, I guess. Now this is it without its dust jacket. I'd like to talk about it here in a second, but I'm going to talk about also 2 top books, and I'm going to give you some examples of how you can determine if a book's any good or not in 30 seconds to a minute. Once you lock in on it, and you put that filter in your brain, you can actually determine really quickly. I got a couple books I'll use as an example, just read a couple passages from, and talk about the nature of why. It's like, yeah, this is the book to get. So you don't have to read a chapter or 2 of the whole book to determine if it's any good or not. I'll talk about Giordano Bruno, and this book is out now and available. And no, once again, I don't get any kickbacks from it. It's from Glass Books. I'm going to talk about top 13 books after this. And I have a link for that also, too, in the description. I got a list of top 13 books and remaining recommended books. I'd like to talk about that. The book that I wrote an introduction to called The Monad, there's 50 copies left, they told me. I don't get any kickbacks from either. I was paid to write the introduction to that book, but no sales of that book in any way, shape, or form come to me, so I have to say that again. The Giordano book is printed on a slick paper. It's Giordano Bruno and the Hermetic tradition. He died. Well, he didn't die. They took care of him, shall we say, in 1600 by Francis A. Yates. They're limiting this one to 2,500 copies. It has a sewn binding. It's printed on 100-pound Italian-made glossy paper. It's acid-free, and it's printed in Canada. There's tons and tons and tons, not just some, colored pictures. I love glossy, acid-free colored pictures. And charts in it, and the cover design by Max Loeffler, and the interior book design by Faran Zarazak. 9.6 inches, 536 pages. Giordano Bruno was born in 1548. I'll make this really simple. I'm interested in discussing the simple facts. And he lived until 1600. Bruno was tried for heresy by the Roman Inquisition on charges of denial of several core Catholic doctrines, including eternal, Hades, the Trinity and the divinity of Christ, and the skepticism over the purity of Mary, and transubstantiation. I'm going to get into transubstantiation. It's a philosophical point I'm not going to get into here. Bruno's pantheism wasn't taken lightly by the Church, nor was his teachings on metempsychosis regarding reincarnation of the soul, or palingenesis in Greek. The Inquisition found him guilty, and they how do I say this lightly? They toasted him like a marshmallow, at Campo di Fiore in 1600, which was what? 425 years ago. After he perished, of course, at the hands of the Catholic Church, he gained considerable fame, being particularly celebrated in the 19th and early 20th century by commentators who regarded him as a martyr for science, which he was. Historians, and accurately so this time, historians are usually wrong, are of the opinion that his trial for heresy was not a response to his cosmological views, but rather a response to his views on the Church, and of course that's the case, and his views on afterlife and transmigration. Bruno was deeply influenced, obviously so, by pre-Socratic Empedocles, Neoplatonism, Renaissance Hermeticism, and the Book of Genesis, likely to Origen's commentary on Genesis, religiosity, and the metaphysics thereof, surrounding the Hellenistic concept of Hermes Trismegistos especially. This is some of the seminal extracts of Expulsion of the Triumphant Beast, which is the one that the Church really went after him over. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but Bruno's infinite universe was filled with a substance, not literally substance, of course, quote-unquote pure air, but not literally air, or the aether, or spiritus, that offered no resistance to heavenly bodies. That's actually not true. Gravity is an antispatial vector, but I know what he's actually saying. He's correct, but the minutiae of which he's incorrect about, but that's okay. That's a matter of abstruse fine point of field theory. One of the most fascinating figures of the Renaissance, and they toasted him like a marshmallow for a heresy by the Inquisition in Rome on Ash Wednesday in 1600. The primary evidence against him was, a book of the Expulsion of the Triumphant Beast, sort of Spazio della Bestia Trionfante, daring indictment of the Church that abandoned the references to classical Greek mythology, Egyptian religion, especially Isis worship, Hermeticism, and genuine magic. There's a lot of books on magic, and they're just garbage. They're not actually about true magic, but Giordano Bruno's writings are about genuine magic, and that's a very important point that I don't think anybody makes about Bruno, not that I'm aware of. Giordano Bruno and the Hermetic Tradition by Francis Yates is the definitive book on Renaissance occult studies, Hermeticism, and Renaissance philosophy. It serves as a great introduction to the intellectual milieu of the Renaissance, but also too bridges the gap between late Renaissance magical thinking, literal magic, not figurative magic, and the dawn of Enlightenment rationality. Specifically, this is Neoplatonic monistic Sophia Perennis. I don't know if you know what Sophia Perennis is, but this is the perennialism of the dialectic engagement as to the nature of reality. Ab extra to all the religious mumbo-jumbo and hoo-ha that's out there. And that, of course, since he was interested in understanding these things from the perspective of true metaphysics and philosophy, is one of the primary reasons why the Church roasted him. Book profiles fascinating outsider Giordano Bruno, lectured on cosmology, philosophy, memory, among other topics. A great one is his book, it's called The Memory, The Shadow of, The Shadows of Thought. I think it's called The Shadows of Thought. It was a great one. He was held captive and interrogated for 7 years by the Roman Catholic Inquisition. Refused to recant any of his ideas on theology and the universe, cosmology, and said, was substantially, of course, roasted. Remains a martyr to this day for syncretism, mysticism, free speech, genuine magic, and genuine science alike. Francis Yates puts forth the notion that Giordano Bruno was operating within the Hermetic tradition, which of course he was. This really actually is an important work to have. I suggest also too Expulsion of the Triumphant Beast by Giordano Bruno. It's always important also too to look at the great works of people that the Church considered to be not heretics, which would be like a simple-minded heretic, but ultimate heresy against doctrine. Kind of like Martin Luther, but Martin Luther was only quoting the Bible, and he knew more about the Bible than the people that were put as experts and judges over him, and which really, really infuriated him. Everybody should actually watch the movie Luther. It's quite a brilliant exposition. I'd like to show you like one of the beautiful. You could actually look at this for hours, and this is the only drawing that I know of. I got it bookmarked here with a little towel, huh? That I know of that actually shows you the two lights and the two darknesses. I forget when this one was done. Rome. Like here's some of the. I can't flip through and show you all the pictures, but there's a lot of actual color illustrations. I love that slick, glossy, acid-free paper. Basically lasts a durable eternity. And as a genuine book expert, as far as the binding and how well this is made, and the gilding on the edge, made in Canada, acid-free, archival, slick. I love slick acid archival. I don't even have to have my eyes open to know what kind of paper it is. Made in Italy and printed in Canada. This is a wonderful book. It sounds like I'm actually trying to sell this book, but I'm not. Trust me, I don't get whatever number people buy or don't buy off of this video. I don't get a dime, which is important. I'm not praising a book because, you know, I'm going to get something on the back end of it. I'm not. Like that. There's tons and tons of illustrations like this. Anybody would actually get a lot out of reading it. Here's more just randomly flipping through. It's this is a fine printing. You don't see books like this printed like this anyway. You do, but they cost a fortune. You have to go to like a used bookstore and find something printed. Like from the 1970s or 80s from Oxford University Press or Princeton University Publications, where it's not about just the book, it's about how it's printed, how it's bound, the dust cover, what type of paper it's put on. I got a lot of really important, oh, like here's a great one. I was trying to look for it, there we go. This is great. The detail on it and the printing and the pitch point of this illustration is really good. This, of course, is from Robert Flood. And there we go. Anyway, you'd really love this book. I mean that genuinely. I'd like to go on to the secrets of book evaluation. And I'm going to grab a couple books over here to show you that. But once again, here's the cover art. It's from Gallo Glass Books, and I have the link below in the description. And also, too, as a pinned comment in this video. So here's the secret. I'm going to give you a couple examples. I'm going to grab this one. And this is some really heavy stuff. And I'm going to talk about some books of recommendation. And I have that link below also, too, in the description. It's right below the PayPal link. You see a top recommended books, and there's a link there. And this is actually from Dr. Oleg D. Jefamenko. He had 2 PhDs. His brilliance caused causality, electromagnetic induction, and gravitation. There's a lot of really, really heavy equations in this. He's quite a genius, but he actually he secretly, in his academic way, questioned relativism because it's absolute garbage, of course. But this type of pithiness, if you actually listen and see the way it's written, it's very analytical, but super, super concise. But as we've seen, neither Maxwell's equations nor their solutions indicate the existence of a causal link between electric and magnetic fields. Therefore, we must conclude electromagnetic fields, a dual entity, always have an electric and magnetic component, simultaneously created by their common sources, time-variable electric charges and currents. According to these equations, these are Maxwell's equations in time-variable systems, electromagnetic fields are always created simultaneously. They actually extract the pithy points of what you want to know. Some books you got to read like 50 pages, like, oh, there's one point, there's the needle in the haystack. People like this, and I can spot it, and if you know what to look for, you'll be able to spot it very quickly. You can literally evaluate a book in 30 seconds. This is a garbage book. Put it down, grab another book. Okay, I need another 30 seconds to evaluate it. Okay. Yep, a minute. Sometimes it takes me 2 minutes. I gotta be honest. The average time is less than a minute for you to evaluate it. I've actually got a list of little fine points here. But let me go on to, this is a great book called Metaphysics, collection of articles by Dr. Ananda Kichis Kumaraswamy. I was friends with his son, Ramapi Kumaraswamy. He gave me the rights to all of his father's works as long as I gave them away for free. Liberation or mukti is distinguished from salvation as something other than a perpetual and ideal being oneself, as it were, part of the world picture. Liberation, in the fullest sense of the word liberation, is not merely from phenomenal becoming, but from any noumenal determination whatsoever. And of course there's a footnote. And basically every page, look at this, a lot, and this guy knew 27 languages. He wrote like 54 books, hundreds of articles. This stuff is really... nearly half of the pages of the article stuff he's writing. You notice that the notes here take up 3/4 of the page, right? The page is here, but the notes for the page are way down here. I got a mosquito flying through here. It's mosquito season! Hello, Mr. Mosquito. I'm going to edit that out of this video. I'm sure I can edit out that flying mosquito. But nearly every page is like that. Just copious notes. You got Greek and Sanskrit below and Prakrit. Like I said, he knew 27 languages. And his son, who I knew, unfortunately dead, said that of all the books and articles that he wrote, this is how he typed. He was not really a typist, but he used a old-fashioned, paper and the typewriter. 2 fingers. He did all his typing, not like, I went to class for learning typing. Hello, Mr. Mosquito. And at least he didn't bite me. I got up to like 60-some words a minute. I was the only guy in my class at the time. The rest of the class was full of ladies. And now I see that mosquito, I'm like starting to itch as if it bit me. It's just one of those psychoreactive things. You see a mosquito, you like start to itch as if it bit you. But he did all of his writing with 2 fingers. Very, very precise, a lot of deep thought. Here's some of the secrets of book evaluation you could do in a half a minute to 2 minutes max. The number of notes. Copious, copious notes, which I just showed you. Multiple language notes. People that can speak at minimum 4 languages. That doesn't mean they're not writing something intelligent. But if it's on the analytical stuff, metaphysics, philosophy, science, you have to have an enormous amount of notes. The good stuff to read is not some goofball, spewing what it is he thinks about something. The person you want to read, and you can determine it in just a few seconds. I mean, this guy, half of his stuff, look at this. Look at this. This is mostly notes here. There's mostly notes over here. The page is here, and this page over here is that big. The good people, and this is the same way I write, they have looked at every book essentially on that topic. They've drawn in all the points. They make really precise, analytical, super condensed, like soup. Remember the old soup you used to get? You used to shake the can, and it would come out like sludge, like whoop. Everything is condensed. You had to add water to it. Well, you're looking for the condensed books. Life is too short. This guy and people like him, they can put more in 2 pages than the average goof will put in the whole book. Like, I got more out of 5 pages than this guy got out of 400 pages in his book. Look at this. This is really important. The notes are just like a gold mine. Look at the page is up here, but all the notes for the page are 3/4 of the page. And it's small pitch font. It's like an 8-point font. I've got Greek, Latin, Pali, and Sanskrit reference to the Gita, Koine Greek. These are the people that have poured their heart and soul into the topic, and they pull out only the condensed stuff. You'll be able to spot that quickly when you know what you're looking for. Number 3, like extensive notes, research, and sourcing. It's written in really, really pithy, dense matter, just like Plotinus. Dialectic writing, not so much, but concise, logical, rational disassembly of complex subjects, because somebody's looked at every major book ever written on the topic. You'll examine it, dissect it, either support it or deconstruct it and trash it. And you only have to read 4 or 5 pages of their stuff on any particular subject to really get to the heart of the matter. Retroductive logical analysis on a subject, which is what Kumaraswamy does. Look at this. The reason why this book is so crinkled is I think I fell asleep once when I was in the tub reading it and it got wet. Like this, some of these highlightings that I have. And oh, his notes are just absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's a gold mine. When there's more of a gold mine in 2 pages of notes than there is in most people's entire book, then you've really got something. You get my point? Academic garbage books never reach a point. That's actually how they maintain neutrality. Well, we can look at it from this perspective, and we can look at it from that perspective. They never draw a point or a conclusion because it's an academic trick that they use. If they draw a point or a conclusion, then somebody could come after them. You drew a conclusion. Boom! If they take both sides and they're like Jell-O or, a gummy worm, well, we can look at it like this, but we can also look at it like this. There's never a conclusion. That's how academicians write. They don't draw conclusions, they don't present a string of evidences, and they certainly don't, most pages on this book have at least 2 or 3 languages in the footnotes. Extensively sourced, and you could use that as a springboard for all the other good stuff, because good stuff is an emanation from other good stuff. In other words, this person knows where all the good stuff is, and they mention it in their notes. You can find this in book so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Wow, that's great. I got a gold mine in just the notes. Not the book? No, just the notes. Thomas Taylor's books, like the Parmenides, I think there's 150 pages of notes. If you never read the Parmenides translated by Thomas Taylor, you could just like rip out just the notes on the back end of it. Rip it out, and you get 100 times more by reading the notes of Thomas Taylor on the Parmenides, for example, than you would by trying to slowly read the Parmenides. You get my point? These are the secrets of book analysis, where I could determine in 30 seconds to 2 minutes max, take it home with me, i.e. read it and pour through it, or just go like, yeah, there we go. Not that book, but you know what I mean. Top 13 most books. There's countless thousands of people taking my recommendation on this. Number 1 is the EMISSION on the Division of Nature by John the Scot. I can't tell you how important it is to read the EMISSION. You can get a better education and build a better toolbox in your brain by reading the EMISSION than you can from countless years of school. The Enneads of Plotinus. Every Christian mystic, including Giordano Bruno, by the way, were all openly or secretively deep, deep readers of Plotinus. And that's not my opinion, girlfriend. That is a fact. Fact, fact, fact. The Upanishads, 4 volumes with the notes and commentary by Swami Nikalananda. The principal Upanishads written and translated by, not written by, but translated by, with copious notes, by the way, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who also used to be president of India. The Universal One by Walter Russell. There's a book everybody should have, The Universal One. The Unknown God, written by my friend, the only living author that I respect. A wonderful older lady who's Irish with a thick Irish accent that retired to Uganda. It's called The Unknown God by Deirdre Carabine. You can find that on Amazon. She has many other really good books. She's written quite extensively about Giordano Bruno also. 2 primary works of Advaita Vedanta from Sri Sankaracharya. The 1,000 Teachings, or the Upadisa Sahasra, and the other book that's genuinely attributed to him, which is the Vivechudamuni. Once again, this is in the description on top recommended books. Philosophies are Right, A Rebirth on Genuine Original Theurgy, written by Algis Udovinis. Also, 2 by the same author. It's Orpheus and the Roots of Platonism. That one book which I was just showing you, the Metaphysics Collection of Articles by Dr. Ananda Kitish Kumaraswamy. Other top recommended books, any and all translations from the Greek by Thomas Taylor. The works of Iamblichus, Proclus, the Didaskalikos, which is a very tiny book you could read in a day. Everybody should read the Didaskalikos of Albinus, translated by Thomas Reedy. These are all in a series. The Significance of Neoplatonism, which is a collection of articles by different people. Neoplatonism and Nature. Neoplatonism in Indian Thought. Neoplatonism in Indian Philosophy. The 3-volume set of Meister Eckhart. Yeah. The books of Porphyry, such as Launching Points to the Realm of the Mind. He was the disciple and assistant to Plotinus himself. Pre-Socratic Philosophers, compiled by J.S. Kirk and Raven. It's a collection. It's a really, really good book to have. It's called the Pre-Socratic Philosophers. Countless thousands of passages in their translation from the ancient Greek by many different ancient true philosophers. All translated writings from the Neoplatonist Sidianus. Theology of Arithmetic, everybody would love that one. That's a really ancient work by Iamblichus. It's translated by Robin Waterfield. You could read that in a day. Everybody should have that book, by the way. Ride the Tiger by Julius Evola. Revolt Against the Modern World by Julius Evola. The other books by Kumaraswamy, Time and Eternity, Traditional Art and Symbolism, which is a collection of articles. What is Civilization by Kumaraswamy, which is also, too, a collection of articles that are completely different from one another. Guardians of the Sun Door, same thing, different articles, same author, Ananda Kitish Kumaraswamy. Very, very brilliant person. I do recommend this book highly. I don't get any kickbacks from it. The link is below to Gallowglass Books. Apparently they have 2,500 printed copies. I have 2 copies. I'm going to give one to my friend. The other one, obviously, I'm keeping. But that's the actual secrets to determining. And once you know what to spot, you'll zero in on it like a hawk. You're like, oh, now I see what he's talking about. The rejection ratio were, 2-minute or less evaluation ultimately ends up being a dead end. If I put like another 4 or 5 minutes in it, it's like less than 1 in 500. Once you actually lock in to that 6 or 7 point step on the pithiness, the notes, multiple, the retroductive logic, this wishy-washy academic way of speaking, where there's more in the notes than most people's books. It's like, forget about the book, I'm just going to rip out the notes, like Thomas Taylor, for example, or even Kumanoswamy, the metaphysics book. I can just cut out the notes, and I get 100 times more from just the notes than I would from most people's books. You'll know what to spot when you see it. Like, oh, I see it now. And you get faster and faster and faster. And it just takes me 30 seconds to a minute, usually. And that's the secret of super fast book evaluation. I guarantee it works. It's not going to happen overnight for you to zero in and lock in like that, like I do. It's going to take a little bit of practice, as does anything. I hope you like these videos. Any donation is warmly welcome. Check out the Giordano book below. I'm not connected to the sales of that book. I got like 50 copies of the Monad left, which I wrote the introduction for, on that link. And I hope you have a lovely week. Contact me if you got any questions. Lux e veritas. Do 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 do.